This is Calicat, the Calicatster, and this is a review of The Suicide Squad, the 2021 James Gunn remake of the reboot, sequel of the original 2016 version. Yes, a vast improvement of the 2016 version. I believe that was 2016 that the original one came out, as did the original, that remake of Ghostbusters also came out that year. Yeah, there's been a lot of movies in 2016. But, the Suicide Squad, the plot here is that there's like an island, Corte Maltese that they made up, where where apparently there's an evil experiment going on with an alien, the Leo Starro, of course, from Silly Track, turned into a starfish. There's an alien experiment. It's a kaiju, basically, on the planet. I guess that's a spoiler, sort of, but not really. It's in the trailer. It's they send the Suicide Squad crack team in the first place, and they are captured and killed. Half of them are killed, so they have to send in another team to rescue them. The characters are fast and loose with the information. As they've said in some previews, don't get used to them because some of them die almost immediately. But they're pretty cookie cutter anyway. Something there. There's a guy that he pulls off his arms and they float around and kill people. His arms come off. All the character Tranzor Z in the Japanese anime. But that was a robot that's arms shot off like rockets. Well, this guy is a humanoid that arms shot off. There's a weasel guy. There's a giant shark god, Minoa, played by Sylvester Stallone. There is well, you got Margot Robbie. You got Idris Elba playing Killshot, Deadshot, something like that. You do not have Will Smith this time. They didn't want to get him this time. So Alba's character sort of replaces him, kind of with the Kryptonite bullet story. Yeah, and we have Peacemaker, who is John Cena from Fast and the Furious 9, and from a movie about the bull. And other things. Well, he was a wrestler. We have Margot Robbie, of course. We have, I think part of the problem with and I don't know why Kevin Smith didn't talk about Harley Quinn, the Birds of Prey at all, anywhere. He vlogged about it in some places, but didn't do a review. And this one, maybe he won't do a review here either. I'm thinking maybe it's because he inadvertently had named his daughter Harley Quinn, so she would get a lot of hate if he said anything. Trouble doing that. I know they're not related, but naming your kid after Harley Quinn, maybe that's what it is. And there was an odd fight scene that was in the trailer and in the movie in which, like, she's shooting a gun thing and flowers are floating around behind it. It's not a flower shooting gun; it's a gun. But there was a lot of trippy 70s. Era weird stuff in this. The opening scene is a Vietnam type storm the beachhead thing, complete with helicopters and guys getting like mowed down and stuff. And then later on, when they go in to rescue one of them, Captain Flag, he's inadvertently not being detained, but they don't know that, and they go in and they kill all of the most of the rebels. Not realizing that's what they're doing. A lot of miscommunication. Also, the 10-minute scene that everybody saw where it shows that Harley Quinn escaped from the bad guys capture her, is actually longer in this version, you get to see what's going on before she got out, and you get to see the scene where she actually did her own stunt. She was supposed to, and they filmed it twice because the first time they filmed it, they didn't get the shot of her actually doing the stunt. There was a scene where she was supposed to uncuff herself from her cuffs like this, and swing up with her legs and go and with her, unbuckle it and then come down with her mouth. Yeah, they filmed it twice because they didn't get that. That one stunt was actually her doing that. It was not a stunt though. It was actually Margot Robbie doing that. And she's very acrobatic. As a So, but a lot of the other stuff was clearly they didn't kill anybody for real. There's an evil scientist with things stuck in his head, so he can talk to Starro, the starfish kaiju alien. The fact that there is a boss fight with a giant starfish kaiju at the end is hilarious, and he like shoots little versions of himself that take over people. Obviously, the DC people, it is part of the series, so it's part of the canon. So that whoever wrote that original Starro story, and they did not realize that Leo Starro was kind of the same idea. Although he's not called the Starfish Man in my version, it's just the guy they named him Leo Starro. But in this version, the Starfish guy is an alien. And they clearly were high as fuck when they were. They clearly were so stoned when they thought of that. Let's have a giant starfish alien that shoots little versions of itself, and then they hypnotize people like simulations, kind of, Dude, little starfish is stuck to their faces. Dude. Yeah, clearly they were high when they came up with that story as a comic, and even more so in the movie. This is a James Gunn. One of the producers was Zack Snyder, but it's really James Gunn. So there were a bunch of other producers. They actually give a satisfying riff on the evil lady in charge of the whole thing by having one of them hit her with the golf club at one point. But yeah, yeah. So one of her workers, I think it was a golf club. There's also the javelin guy. Don't get used to him. There's Boomerang. I thought he was killed in the last one. I just brought him back, I guess. And yeah, they go to this island because the Corto Maltese island thing because they gotta stop the evil government that took over from the other government because they have control of the alien ex-Nazi guy that's attached stuff to his face and his head to communicate with the alien they brought down on a shuttle, and that the U.S. was behind it secretly. That's a secret, even though it doesn't make any sense. For some reason, they're able to contain it inside this fortress thing until they blew the top off it. Of course, the fortress thing looks like it looks like the pink tower from Starcrackers and Space Vanguards, so it looks like a big penis. And when they blow it up, it deflates there's a weird scene involving Harley Quinn trying to seduce the hot son of the king guy, the general dude, and that doesn't end well for him. But because it's Harley Quinn, sort of. There is the Ratcatcher 2, who is the daughter of the Ratcatcher. And there's a rat, a cute rat that is assimilated in it. The rats will save the day, of course, but so this movie is all over the place because clearly they had fun doing it, and it's it's fine. It's fine. I don't know if the critics saying it's well over 80-some%. Rotten Tomatoes gives it 93%, and fans give it 89%. It's not that good. It's good, but it's not that good. Come on. But yeah, I mean, in the high '90s, that would make it Oscar worthy, and it's not Oscar worthy. Come on, it's a big jump action movie. Um, it's in the '80s, but it's not. It's not '93. That's silly. Um, it's very good. 3.5 stars. Very good, but it's 4. Come on, it's not 4. Come on. Yeah, there's not enough of a story going on that it's 4. It's just an action picture with a lot of goofy set pieces and jokes and stuff, and a shark guy that eats people. And you've seen a lot of it from the trailers, so yeah, it's fine. It's perfectly salvageable. Go see it in theaters. Go see the IMAX version too if you want. But yeah, it's a. I guess now that the Stone Gremlins probably will give it an A. But yeah, it's a B plus A, I think. It's fine. It just mm. I suppose nobody will complain that they're totally making fun of a made up Latin American country. But yeah, that's a little screwed up. Also, John Cena saying "no problemo." I was like, no, 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 no. Okay. Yes. He should know better. He's John Cena. He should know that that's wrong. It's become, yeah, unless he's from Haiti, where it's right in Haiti, but it's not right in Mexico. So the proper intuitive of no. Everybody says no problem. What is this term? Maybe it's supposed to be dorky or something. That's fine. But it's no hay problema. Is the correct Spanish. No hay problema, because there is. It's not. It's the words, the verb in the verb tense, and the noun. The nouns they have gender, masculine and feminine gender, and problemo is not a Spanish word. Problema is a Spanish word. Problema with an A. Yes, problemo is not a Spanish word. Yes. But yeah. Problemo. You can't say that. It's well, of course they'll defeat the bad guys with simply by shooting the other bad guys. Of course, that's the way it works, right? Yeah. The ridiculous bullet within a bullet shot thing. But yeah, Idris Elba did a better job playing the character he should have been playing in his gunslinger thing with the Stephen King thing. Yeah, this is a character he should have been in that. That would have made sense. But yeah, play a gunslinger. Maybe the irony is that he actually doesn't do that. But yeah, Suicide Squad. The remake. The director of the first one is not doing a director's edition. That's just the fans wanting to have the studio fix it, and the director's all like, "No, I'm not gonna do that. I need to redo the first one. This one is perfectly. This is the redo of the first one. Let's just make it look better." And I take it that it does take place chronologically after Harley Quinn and the Emancipation of Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, which should have been called Birds of Prey instead of Harley Quinn, because she's really or it should have been called the Harley Quinn movie and not Birds of Prey, because they're barely in it. Yeah, this is just yeah. And she's, yeah. Well, that movie's problem was that the Birds of Prey in the 90s comic book and the 2000s comic books were not connected to Harley Quinn, and they weren't friends. And in the movie version, they're friends, and they're connected, and they know each other, and they do the early introduction of Birds of Prey. Whereas they wouldn't have in real life. They would have been enemies. They would have been on the opposite side of I get the idea that they fight the mask guy because he's bad, but that wouldn't be enough to unite them, I wouldn't think. Black Mask is, yeah. Uh, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, so this is sort of a follow up to Birds of Prey as well. Yeah, and it's entertaining and it's it's fine. B plus. Yeah, it's fine. Um, go and see it in theaters or rent it or whatever. Is being that there kind of is still a pandemic around, so don't don't take any risks going to see it. Um, yes. Anyway, so yeah, yeah, that's it. With the Suicide Squad. It says in the tagline, "They're dying to save the world." The Suicide Squad. Oh yeah. Poster's rather bland though. Looks like they're in space, air, or something. Odd rainy sequence with clouds everywhere. I'm certainly not going to critique it based on stuff that doesn't make sense in it because most of it doesn't. So I'm not going to do that. So they're like, well, they shoot, they pull it over here. It's like, no, they're super villains and they're in the middle of like they're basically super villains against normal people that only have weapons. So it's basically like kind of an unfair advantage. They're basically like, oh, we're superpower. We can totally kick your ass and blow you up and stuff. Cut your head off and other limbs and things. Like, that's a really unfair advantage if superheroes were dicks. Also, it kind of has the feel of of what they were getting at with the original Watchmen comic book. Trying to make a dark comedy kind of thing, but horror. With that, but in that case, it was more horror and bleakness and stuff like that. And I didn't mind the Watchmen movie. I kind of liked it, but Mark's Cards did not like the Watchmen movie. Yeah, I was familiar with the comic book, so. But yeah, actually, was I though? Because yeah, I don't think he was as much as I was. I mean, I knew of it, and then I read it around the same time as the movie came out. So yeah, I don't know whether. So I wasn't familiar with it. So maybe he was, and he was like, "Oh, this is not right. This character's doing." But I guess the newer remake one is not nearly as fun, even though it was being plugged as so. I didn't see it, so I don't know. But yeah, yeah, that's Suicide Squad, the movie. Yeah. And the trailer. Let's see, there was a preview for Reminiscence, which is sort of the preview for Reminiscence. It's sort of Westworld crossed with the Dream one, Nolan. It's not Nolan, but it's kind of like that. By the creators of the Westworld remake, not the original. And there was a Sopranos prequel. The Saints of Newark. Apparently, they're doing a Sopranos prequel, which they apparently got greenlit as a movie for some reason. Like anyone's gonna care. There's only one guy that's gonna care, and that's L.A. Beast, back in Jersey. Well, he's gonna care, but I can't imagine that making any money for Bollywood. And yeah, so, like Tony Soprano as a child, why? They can't cuss as much because in the HBO version they can cuss all the time. They got a little over the top though. It was like, come on, they don't swear that much. Come on. But yeah, it got ridiculous. It's like every other word. But in this movie, it's supposed to be swearing because they're like evil bad guy dudes. Yeah, so it's related. Like, yeah. Oh. But it's sort of like the guy in Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Having Julia Newmar, calling himself Chi-Chi Rodriguez, and he's got more legs than a bucket of chicken when he meant Cha-Cha Rodriguez. His own, and he was a Mexican guy. I don't know why he wouldn't know that. Cha-cha, legs. Cha, heels, legs. Cha-chas. Chi-chis are something else. They are in the front of the woman, and they are the mammalian protuberances. Yes, they're not legs. And considering that he was in drag in that movie, he didn't have chi-chis anyways. So. But the other guy was named Noxina Jackson, so that makes sense either. So, oh well.